How you doing?
Howdy.
That's not how we talk.
Have I ever said howdy?
No.
before?
You're not
Well, I'm
addressing
gonna
the
say it
listeners.
now.
You're addressing me.
And I feel like I should start saying howdy.
Yeah.
And y'all.
I actually do say howdy.
I have heard you say howdy.
Yeah. I think it's cool.
He says with a smirk.
I say ma'am a lot too.
Yes, ma'am.
Not to
And
you.
you say sir.
But like at the
You should start saying it to me.
nah, come on. I'm older than you.
So?
Yeah.
I have some respect.
I call you little lady.
Hello.
I did my head
Here
like
you go,
little lady.
little lady.
No, I say ma'am.
Sugar.
Sugar. I say ma'am. I'm not a Southern woman. I say ma'am like
Bless your heart.
bless your heart. I say ma'am at like the stores if it's an older lady.
Because you're respectful.
I'll say yes, sir. I don't know. It just feels natural to me. I don't think I do it out of like.
No.
I'm sure there's a hint of respect, but it's like, to me.
What else do you say?
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
lady.
Lady, what you been up to today?
Just getting ready for Beckham's birthday party.
Yeah, what you got planned?
Well, I was picking up the cake and like all
Did you
the.
do rocket themed?
Yeah.
By the way, do you know
This
that?
is like the 4th year in a row.
Yeah.
Our son wanted a rocket themed birthday.
So
'Cause he's
SpaceX
obsessed.
did their launch yesterday.
I think I saw something.
It
on the
crashed.
news.
Yeah.
It crashed.
It blew up.
Again.
Yeah, it blew up. But what's weird is they expected it to blow up.
Because these are like trial runs.
Not necessarily because they can't afford trial runs, but
Why did they expect it to blow up?
Well, so NASA partnered with SpaceX for SpaceX to build the ship to get them to the moon, and then NASA will get their astronauts to the moon from SpaceX's ship.
Right.
And at first they had a launch like a week ago, and it didn't go through because one of the pressure valves was frozen, so they put a kibosh on it. And I don't know if it's like them getting to the point where like, well, everything checks out, like this is as good as it's going to get, but we're anticipating something to go wrong. And it's essentially the latches that disconnect the main thrusters, because like a rocket's broken down into sections. The first big one, it takes the most amount of energy to get it up into the atmosphere. And then that disconnects. And that part did not disconnect. And there was just an explosion. And then it just got a bunch of debris in Texas. In Texas is where SpaceX is launching.
But they also do some launches in Florida, don't they?
They do. And there's a SpaceX
they contracted out or like are renting out NASA's what is it called? The launch pad.
Launch pad. They also have a hangar over there. So
Did you like my hand motion?
I did not like it.
And that, I mean,
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's very up to scale.
There was just a rock. I was just making a
Hey, this is a family friendly show. You need to get with it.
rockets, man.
Yeah.
They're cool.
Yeah. I love space travel.
I love exploring space and
You
time.
just learned what NASA stood for.
National Aeronautics and Space Administration or Association? Administration?
So administration, yeah.
Don't act like you know.
I don't know if the last one is. We don't need to get, we don't need,
Well,
why-
now I have to know.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure it's
know.
administration. I'm willing to bet you $1 it's administration. Okay.
Let's see.
It's
National. Well,
okay. Hey, this is not good airtime.
what does NASA stand for? National. Yes, we were right. I was right. You were
Association?
administration.
I said association.
Yeah. No, we said administration.
Oh, we both said administration. Okay.
But I said it first.
Well, great.
so-
This is. We should clip this. This will go.
We should
this will
definitely
go
clip this
viral.
because
Did you find? Speaking of going viral, which is not viral, but so you made an Instagram reel of me throwing something at you, and it performed well. Did you?
it was weird. It just like blew up randomly.
Did you expect for it to perform well?
No, just because a lot of my stuff hasn't been performing well, and I just don't know if it's just, I don't know what it is. I feel like lately both, because I have my design account, and then we have our Next Door Neighbors account, which is our podcast stuff mostly. But every once in a while, I'll post like a video on there, and for like my content just hasn't been doing great. So I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna throw it up there. It might do kind of well, or it might just like not. People might not really resonate with it. I thought it was funny because and at first it didn't. It was just getting like normal views, and then all of a sudden yesterday it just started like picking up. I woke up this morning. I think it was at like 10,000 views, and I woke up this morning and it was like 130,000 views.
Hmm.
I was like, whoa, okay.
And it was a reel?
It's just a 5-second reel. Yeah.
Huh.
So now I'm like, maybe that should be like my thing. I'm going to start a series called What You Doing?
What you do?
And I'm just going to come up to you and be like, what you doing? And you're going to be like, I'm working. I'm going to be like, well, maybe you should work harder. Or like,
That's the most amount of work that you're going to do. And then the rest of it's on me. You're like, what you doing? And maybe you should work harder. And then you
No.
plug everything else in.
No, it's going to be like
And then
different
you're always
ways of
gonna-
saying like you should work harder.
And then you're the one that's getting hurt because I always have to throw something at you. And that object gets bigger and bigger
It just
every
gets
single
bigger
time.
over time.
Like at one
until you're
point,
throwing a piece of tile at me.
well, like I wouldn't throw tile because I mean, it's,
Rude.
But
you don't want to waste the tile.
I don't want to waste the tile. It's
You don't
expensive.
want to break the tile.
But like
It's
me throwing
expensive.
like a tire at you.
Could you imagine? And it just stops at like right
Do you
before
know
it
how
hits
broken
me.
and bruised up you're going to be? You're like, but I got the
Worth
views.
it. Yeah. Worth it for the views.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show how the content world is changing. It's like,
It really is.
I
And the
you-
shorter, the better it usually does. Like
yeah,
the shorter
well,
the
attention
clips.
span's getting shorter, but you also got to think about it. Like, your content's great and it's informative, but like, is it entertaining?
No,
And that's
it's
basically
kind of boring. Yeah.
And
But
the
it's
only
like
reason
that's
boring,
my-
the only reason it's boring is because there's so many
So
more
many,
players to the
yeah.
table, and we've had
It's
this
saturated
podcast
with
before.
people. So it's like you have to stand out. It's either your photos are like beautiful, professional photographer quality, or you do something funny, or you do something catchy, or even like informative stuff doesn't do that well
No.
anymore.
Informative stuff goes really boring.
Yeah, because people are like, eh. But if it catches you immediately, and that's usually funny stuff or like some sort of the trending audio that's already there, you know, things like that.
You know what's annoying to me is when, and this is why I don't read YouTube comments, is you'll have positives and negatives, right? There's going to be always more positive than going to be more negatives, but you're only going to remember the negatives and not the positives. But what the most annoying part is to me is when people go, can you be more detailed about X, Y, and Z in your content? Or people will be like, hey, can you just go back to just giving informative information? I'm like, yeah, and I'll just entertain 5 people.
I
and
know.
That's it.
The 5 people that really want to know.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like the 5 people be like, can you make this content longer? And I'm like, yeah, you'll watch it. Thanks. But not the rest of the world. Like you can't cater to those people.
Well, that's where I think like the Patreon can come in, make the videos
Yeah,
longer and more
that's-
informative
and-
for those 5 people
and
that
that's-
really want it.
And I think that's something that I'm happy that we're doing, because yes, like the amount of content that we shoot, there's so much, and we have to figure out like what makes the cut and what doesn't. So then why not just give all the meat and potatoes in the thing?
So
So
the people that want it for sure,
It'll
might
co-
as well.
It'll cost you $5. Like who cares?
Yeah.
There's no ads. Like,
There's no ads. Oh, there isn't.
by the way, I had my first flip out yesterday. I was, in terms of YouTube and like the way I consume content, I was listening to this video podcast. It's a comedy podcast called Kill Tony, and they have like it's basically an open mic set where they have professional comedians on stage. Everybody who puts their name in the bucket gets, if their name gets drawn, they get 1 minute of interrupted time to do like an open mic thing.
And these are all people who are trying to make it in comedy.
Correct.
Okay.
And they're such beginners that some people have done it their first time. Some people have done it for 7 years. Like it's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter that they did it for 7 years. They're really funny. It's like they're not as funny. So these comics are roasting them
Mm-hmm.
essentially.
So you have to like expect it when
Yeah.
you're doing that.
And so therefore the podcast video, it's pretty long. It's like maybe an hour and a half long. But I was so annoyed because I had it shown on my projector and I was like clicking skip ad. I feel like every 5-10 minutes.
Really?
And I'm like, geez, YouTube,
I know.
you are
there should be like a
bombarding.
max of like, how many on yours? Probably like 3, 4 max.
3-4 max probably
Yeah.
on a
That should
18,
be like the
18
max.
minute video. But if you, it's when you're listening to like long form content, because it's not just like one ad, there's going to be another ad
Yeah,
after that.
and you can't skip it for like at least 5 seconds or
Yeah.
whatever. So you're
Yeah.
like waiting. Oh, that's annoying. But
But that's such as
how you
life.
make the
You know,
money.
it's whatever.
such
Yeah.
as life.
Such a life.
Well, so in honor of finishing up this house,
Uh-huh.
you have this.
That's
is
a
your
lot. That's a
very-
huge hand gesture. Okay.
Yep.
This house.
I hope you're watching.
This house.
This.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm following now.
Also, if you're only listening, you need to watch the YouTube videos. They're way
Yeah.
better.
We're in our bathing suits.
some of us are naked.
Yeah.
So, episode 125, watch it.
Yeah.
I feel like in honor of finally finishing up this house, we need to go through some questions and answer. We can both answer how we feel just about like all the projects we've done together.
So, okay.
So let's start out with like the basic favorite project in this house.
The one that I just finished, which I can't talk about.
Oh,
yet.
dang it. Oh, it's that secretive? You can't even talk about it.
I never even did a
you haven't done anything.
The video, so this podcast episode's coming out on Monday.
It's going to be a complete surprise.
Yeah, that's going to be, it's
all my fault.
It's absolutely my favorite because it's my escape.
So stay tuned.
Right.
Second favorite, since you can't reveal that one.
Second favorite. These questions are
know,
the hardest. And the reason why
But everybody always asks them. So you have to, like for me, I was thinking about this myself. I can't narrow it down to my favorite. I can narrow it down to like my favorite, like my favorite in terms of where I like to hang out, or my favorite in terms of the way it looks, you know, like those kind of categories. Then I can narrow it down. But just my favorite, it's so hard because I have that. People ask me that question all the time when I do like the Ask Me Anything. It's so hard to answer. But because people ask that, I have to ask it to you.
Okay.
Also, my hand gestures today
You're not a hand person, but you do really
today.
like a hand gesture. So the only way I could break down these favorite questions is in terms of is it something that I'm proud of, or is this something that I get the most benefit out of, or is this something that made me feel a certain way?
So I have more questions.
So if it's 3 categories like that, something that I'm most proud of is
most proud of. That's a good one. What are you most proud of?
The kitchen.
The kitchen.
Something that made me feel the best is Harper's bed.
Okay. So that was my next one, was what was the most rewarding?
Okay, I guess that's the best way to rewarding Harper's bed.
Okay, Harper's bed. For me, I think
and the reason why is because the whole time she goes, for the 2 weeks that I've been building it, she's like, what are you doing, Dad? I'm like, building you a bed. For me? And I'm like, yeah, for you. A bed? And you're like, yeah. So that made me feel the most
She
rewarding.
was way more excited at 2 years old than the boys were at like, how old were they? 6 and 8 at that time?
Probably, yeah.
Which they were excited too. I looked back at the video recently, and they were.
Yeah, but
But she was way more excited, and it's really cute because she actually really does love her bed in her little loft area now. So, if I were to answer, I think it's really hard for me to answer those two because I love different spaces, like for different reasons. Harper's bed is probably my favorite in terms of it's so different, and I love the way that it looks. And we kind of came up with the idea. I mean, you don't find anything like that anywhere, right?
Correct.
It was just like we got some inspiration here and there, but
yeah.
the actual whole design build was completely original.
Yeah.
And I love it so much. So I think in like those terms, that would be my favorite project. And then I think I just love our living room. I love the way it feels. I love how cozy it is. I love hanging out in there. I was thinking about that recently. I'm like, I really love how we've made it feel.
It's very welcoming.
It just feels like you want to be there, and I love that. I love how everything feels comfortable. And
there's different sections of leisure. So like if you want to be like by yourself and kick your feet up, like I don't have a lazy boy. I get it. Lazy boys are not aesthetically appealing. I totally get that because I agree with that. Right? They don't fit in. But they're so damn comfortable.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to be laying on the couch and have somebody pressing against you, like you just want room to yourself and just kind of feel, the chairs that we have do that, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a little table for you to put your cocktail on. And then if you want to cuddle up with the family, you have this long couch. And then if you just want to be like, I kind of want this like brown leather couch feel where it's like
sit on that one.
That's cool. Like I never really processed those, that you could have different environments of, because I used to be like, I love sectionals because on a sectional you get into that middle section in the corner and you're like, you're king of the castle. But the problem is everybody piles on top of you at that point.
You don't get like your room, your breathing room. So you have to like know that's coming.
And I think a lot of people maybe don't know that about me, is that I'm a very physical touch person, but when it's like, if I'm tired, I want some room to myself for a small period of time that I can like decompress, and then I'm ready for all the cuddles and stuff like that. But I don't like being piled
After, like,
up
a
by
long
one
day of
kid
work,
here, another
yeah.
kid here, then you're putting your pillows on me and
My feet.
Right.
That's true. I guess I learned that about you recently.
I just need some
you
time.
sometimes you're really hot and you don't like me touching you. Like
I
I like
get
to
hot.
put my feet on you when we're like laying on the couch, just because I like to like touch.
Sure.
Same physical touch. And so much of the time you're like, can you please take your feet off me because I'm so hot.
I get very hot, and especially like I can't sleep with my legs under the blanket, so I need space to like cool off, essentially, physically cool off.
Yeah. Remember when I used to put my feet on you and they'd be like ice cold?
Ice cold.
That hasn't happened in a while.
No, you haven't. No, I don't know what changed. Is it? Did you get new comforters or something like that?
Yeah, they must be warmer.
Yeah. By the way,
I
did
also
you
wear
get a new comforter?
socks.
Because I feel like the comforter right now, maybe it's the fitting for it. It's not as hot.
I did get a new duvet insert that's supposed to be like lighter and less.
I like it because it's been
down.
getting cold recently, and I like it. But my dinosaur sheets are not good enough for it.
Your twin size dinosaur.
People don't know this about me. The way I sleep is because I get so hot. I'm the weirdest sleeper in the world, is because I sleep with mouth tape. By the way, if you're in your mid-30s and you have a problem waking up at much times during the night, you need to get on mouth tape. It has transformed the way I sleep. I think it's like a semi CPAP kind of thing because it creates back pressure, your airways open. Number one, I have the deepest and the most detailed dreams every single night, multiple dreams, like storyline dreams.
I wonder what it is about.
You know what my dream last night was? I had crazy storyline dreams, but the craziest part is my alarm is always set to 6:30 in the morning. In the dream, I had a conversation with somebody and they said, hey, it's about time for you to wake up. I woke up 2 minutes before my alarm.
Oh my gosh,
The
that's
brain
weird.
does the weirdest thing. So
I wonder what it is about though, like breathing just through your nose.
Behind your nose is a cavity, and that cavity holds carbon monoxide in there. CO2, carbon
CO2.
dioxide in it, and that is exhaust from your clean air that you inhaled, clean oxygen, and that's the byproduct of it.
But I wonder how that translates to like dreams and
You probably blow more of it off, and so you have less carbon dioxide. Yeah, I don't know
something
on the
probably
molecular
relates,
level what
yeah.
it does, but I know the physical part, what's happening. I have the deepest dreams, and even if I wake up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom or something like that, I fall back the quickest. So I can't speak more highly of it. Number two is I have to be chilly when I sleep. I can't be warm. My feet can't be covered. So I found out that when I use regular linen thin bed sheet, like just a topper,
you still get hot.
Well, the topper, is that a bed? Is it?
The sheet.
Not the fitted sheet, but just like the
flat sheet.
The flat sheet.
Yeah.
The one that I have is one that I took from the boys, and it's a dinosaur
It's
print
just a
one.
dinosaur
And I've been
sheet.
using that for months.
He keeps it in the little basket by the bed.
Well, you put it there.
I put it
I
there,
would have
'cause
kept
I'm
it.
like-
Well, when if the bed's being made, why not just like leave it on my side of the bed?
Because then it's all like frumpy.
No, but like, why don't you make it flat?
Because then you'll see it. So you just like
So
fold it up and
I have
hide
to
it.
shamefully walk over to a basket, get my,
Okay, it's like 2 feet away.
and then you
from
tease
the
me.
bed.
You're like,
I love
"Get your
teasing you about it. It's
dinosaur
so
sheets."
funny. Because then sometimes I'll come in, like if I'm taking a bath and you're already sleeping, you're just laying there with your little dinosaur sheet. And it's a twin size sheet, so it's not very big.
It's room for one. It's only room for one.
And then with your mouth tape on, and you're just
Okay,
laying there.
I'll tell you this much
it's
right
cute.
now. I'm gonna go probably one step above, and I'm gonna get on Amazon, see if I can get a NASA one, NASA printed rocket ship
Oh,
one.
you should. Beckham will be so jealous.
Yeah. Good luck trying to pry that off of my dead hands.
Well, you're gonna have to buy 2 immediately, right away.
Well, they don't. They only sell one.
Well, buy 2.
I can't.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. Okay.
But you didn't say. Okay, is that what your answer was? Is the living room?
Well, the
because
living
it's the
room, I
most-
love hanging out there. And then I was gonna say,
What are you
I've
most
always
proud
really
of?
loved the kitchen because that was such an extreme project. Oh my gosh, there's too many. I really love the powder room because the powder bathroom,
Yeah.
because it was like the most functional thing we could have done in this house because of the layout where the old bathroom was like right in the kitchen.
Correct.
It was not great. So we moved it, and now it looks amazing, and it's a little bit farther away. I love it. I love also like the mood in there. It's like dark and green, and
The bathroom mood
Yeah.
you're talking about? Okay.
it's like moody, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And then I also love our bathroom because I take baths in the bathroom. I get ready there. I love the vibe of our bathroom too, like just the way it feels.
Speaking of all these projects, I'm wrapping up the final project for this house right now. It's not going to come out for a couple of weeks, but I was walking through the backyard and I was slowly reminiscing about the projects that I did because I'm always tired, mostly because I work out before I start building. So it's like double this exertion. And whether it's 100-degree summer that I'm working or it's, minus 9 degrees winter that I'm working, there's a lot of exhaustion and a lot of body ache. And you kind of go into the same state of what I'm assuming is like when you were pregnant and now you're not, and it's been like 3 years since the last time you were pregnant, you almost like forget, was it really that bad? Because I remember like laying the brick in the backyard for that fake fireplace, and I was like, I am so hot, like I'm fatigued from the heat. But then like now you look back and you're like, was it really that bad?
Yeah.
And so like
you forget.
you jump from project to project, frustration to frustration, fatigue to fatigue, and you kind of get this like memory erasing amnesia where you're like,
Time
Yeah.
heals all wounds.
whiskey. I went through a lot of whiskey.
Well, that leads me to the next one. What was the most stressful project in this house for you?
Kyle, do you have any insight? Do you remember?
I do.
You do? You have an answer for this one?
Well, I think it was our shower in our master bathroom.
Why would you say?
I heard you swearing a lot during that time.
Kyle, do you have insight on this?
I'd have to think about it
You don't have
because I
any
try to
insight?
like forget
You
each
forget it,
project as soon as I like
export it.
export it and hit send. And
It's out of sight, out of mind.
Okay, so let me think right now.
I know the kitchen was pretty stressful.
Yeah.
When we were renting the jackhammer and like the concrete.
It was stressful because there was water lines in the below the concrete, so the stress level was like puncturing that. But I'm assuming like what your question is,
Just in general,
what's
like
the
for
biggest
you.
pain in the butt stress level project?
Yeah. I guess in that sense, yeah.
Interesting.
What was the pain in the butt?
So I don't know. I don't have the direct answer, but if I was to take a wild guess, it would have to be a tie between the steam shower because the stress levels was like the supplies ordering.
And it wasn't coming in.
And then
you messed up.
Oh, yeah, yes,
That's
yes,
what I'm
yes,
saying.
yes,
You
yes, yes.
messed up.
I messed up a lot because of the measurements of the fitted enclosure.
Yeah. And the actual, remember the stuff kept coming off? What was it?
Yeah, the waterproofing.
Yeah.
The waterproofing
It came
kept
off, so
coming
you had to like redo it.
Correct. Yeah. So I would say that is an accurate statement. Is that was the most stressful because my second answer was going to be the the freestanding tub, because there's plumbing I had to move and all
Oh,
that stuff.
yeah.
But the reality is that section wasn't as bad. I would say hands down probably the
It just felt like everything
steamer.
was going wrong
Correct.
during that project.
Correct.
That's what I remember. And it extended, like, I think you were doing that project for like a month because things kept going wrong, and then things weren't getting delivered in time as well.
Because if you think about it, and this is why it's on the steam room, if you have to build this enclosure, because if you're going to build a shower with an enclosure, right, even if it's this corner enclosure that we had, the only three numbers that you need to know is the width of it on one plane, the width of it on the other plane, two sides, and then the height, right? But then the height doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be relative because you're going to have opening because the steam's going to, from the shower is going to be removed from it. When you're building a steam room, everything has to be 99% airtight. Yes, you're going to have creaks in the doorways and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you cannot have steam escaping through anything more than 1/8 of an inch because the 1/8 of an inch will be siliconed. And now you have not only the width that you have to consider, but you also have this other side of it that is this like three-dimensional
It's
or
a lot.
2D thing or 3D thing. So as somebody like myself who doesn't like to play chess, I can't think that far ahead. So it's strictly on me. So that's why it was stressful.
So you
but then
messed up.
and then added the supply chain issue, then added the waterproofing not going on right, then added using small tile.
All of it.
Yes. That video was not clickbait. Like it was everything was going wrong. Like
Yeah.
everything that I could think about did go wrong for the most part.
Right. Yes. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Was that last summer?
It was last summer.
So,
yeah.
is there any project in this house you would consider a fail or that you regret?
Because the way it turned out,
Yeah.
is there any project that I regret building that I shouldn't have built? Is that the
No,
best way
you
to-
just kind of like.
or it came out terrible?
I don't think anything you made came out terrible.
So how do I answer
Let's be honest.
the fail?
I mean, like more like you regret, like I shouldn't have done that there, or maybe I should have done something else, kind of thing.
That's an interesting question because every project I've done, there's mistakes. So it's easy to answer, be like, well, I should have made my tile spacings more precise, you know?
But there isn't like.
Like I should have done a better job. Okay, so I have the answer to everything I've done wrong. Like for example, in the steam room, it's small format tile, right? They were like 2x10 or something like that. And with tile like that, unless you made the walls dead perfect, meaning like even the transitions and stuff like they're dead perfect, you're gonna have almost like a wave kind of effect of the tile when it's small. When it's a large format tile, like the boys' shower that I'm
Easier to
just
get
finished,
away with.
it's easier because the large format tile will even out that plane. It'll bound to one side and then
The other.
pass the gap and create to the other side. So I would say the fail is my technique, not fail. I don't think there's any project that I regret doing because I'm very happy with how everything turned out. It's just the execution of that
The
project.
details.
Yeah.
I do feel like you regret
Do
building.
you regret me building something?
No, but looking back, not for in terms of how you did it, but I think you regret doing the gaming desk because it's just collecting papers now for the boys.
Yeah, that's the
Which
sad part about
they
it.
did use it for a while.
They did. It's the sad part is you either work hard and get your kids stuff that you didn't have when you were a kid and they don't use it, or you build stuff for your kids and you work really hard doing it and they don't use it. So that's the sad part. You're like, well, I've sacrificed for this because I thought it made you happy, and it did, but you clearly have something else that makes you more happier. So that's the only downfall.
Right. Yeah, that's how it is. Okay.
Yeah, kids.
Well, lucky for me, none of your projects were stressful for me.
Oh, I'm glad somebody came off the hook easy.
And all of them were rewarding.
All of them were rewarding.
Okay, so in this house, what was your most viewed video?
What is my most viewed video in
Project.
this house? Okay, I'm thinking. I would say Harper's Bed.
Really?
Yeah, because the last house, the most viewed video I have is like 6 million views. I think it's like 6 million. It's the last house's giant shower.
Yeah.
Then I built a sauna, which did maybe, I don't know, 4 million views, between 3 and 5 million views, somewhere there. And then I have the backyard fire pit that did a couple of million views. That was, again, last house. So this house, I have the cold plunge that did over 1 million. The bunk bed, the boys' bunk bed is close to 1 million. There's a few close ones, but the Harper's Bed was the one that went nuclear.
Yeah.
That one went nuclear, and it went nuclear in the most unpredictable way because I knew it was a good project, and based off the feedback from your social media, my social media, it was a good project. But when you upload it to YouTube, it had to cook in a very untraditional way because
when 2 weeks.
When I did the giant shower in our last house, that one went nuclear right away. Like it took like 5 days and then it exploded and then it just went, through the roof. But with Harper's, it sat for like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And it was like kind of like meh on the
Yeah.
YouTube algorithm. And you go, I don't get this. Like everybody on social media from our audiences are responding well to this. They're really excited about it. It's getting great. It's getting republished, reposted.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what the freak? And based off all analytics, like the click-through rate, I was like, it was not that impressive. And then for some reason, it just went
Something just sparked
up.
it.
And now it's at 2 million in 2 months or something like that?
Yeah.
It's been 2 months that I finished?
So it's almost like also your most viewed in such a short amount of time.
I'm learning to trust the analytics so much less now because just because the thing didn't get picked up right away doesn't mean it's a bad project or bad project idea or the content wasn't shot in an entertaining way. I look at more of like if the social media is responding, the people on social media are responding well, then
Should do well eventually.
then it's just a quality. No, I don't know if sometimes maybe it doesn't. Sometimes it is getting picked up, but it's a good marker for you. It's like if you posted a picture of the bunk bed, like we did in the very beginning, and then get great engagement both on comments and likes, specifically comments, on both of our platforms, then you go, that's a success.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the video didn't perform well, to
You
me, that's my
know
marker
it's
of
good.
going like, the algorithm is doing something funky because clearly all
People
these people
like
had
it.
great
Yeah,
engagement.
yeah.
Correct.
So what's your least viewed video in this house?
So the least viewed video in this house was the tool video. I did like top, was it 10, 12 tools?
Okay, so it wasn't really a project. What about like
No, it wasn't a project. What is the least viewed one here? I don't know. It would have to be something that like I
Just
have
like
my
a
own.
small one?
I have my own like. If a video hits 100,000 views, I'm happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it says like cool.
That's good. Yeah.
It's fine. It's a day well done, right? It's nothing to brag about. It's like what you're doing is working. Anytime it gets below that, or it, then you go like, hey, well, you need to like reconsider your topics and ideas.
Mhm.
So I think the majority of them would have to be like neck to neck to like the least viewed on the thing. But yeah, that one wasn't informative. It wasn't a project. It was just an informative video.
Yeah. Okay.
So then you kind of go like, okay, so maybe my audience is not into informative videos. They're more into like,
The entertainment.
right. Circling back to your content that we're talking about, like, well, how come these pictures, they're informative, they're not working? Well, because people want to escape sometimes.
Mhm. And I think I'm realizing if somebody now views a photo, a lot of people just don't like it anymore. They'll just like keep scrolling through. Like
Yeah.
it's so quick, which I do that too. I'll be like, ooh, that's pretty. And I just like won't click the like button. I'm like, why is that? Why are we so quick just to keep scrolling? 'Cause
Well, you know,
we're
it's interesting you mentioned that.
our attention span. We just have to keep going.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because I never thought about it this way, but now that kind of it kind of inspired me this idea that because TikTok's been around for what 3-4 years now, right? But really, first people were made fun of when they're on TikTok because they're like, "What are you, a teenager?"
Mm-hmm.
But now everybody's on TikTok, and it almost like pre-programmed you now to follow this pattern of behavior.
Yes, that's what I
to
think
the
it
next
was.
one.
Yeah, I think it was TikTok because now you just keep scrolling through and you're like, wait, maybe I should go back and like that. Which
Correct.
before, I mean, you would like every single post you saw.
Exactly.
So I'm like, I think a lot of it is that, and people are just liking the big accounts because those are like, you know, the mega influencers. And
Sure.
they're like always getting the thousands and thousands.
But if
of
you got a
likes.
response if you got an emotional response from it, whether it's happiness
Mm-hmm.
or anger or inspiration or motivation, if there's an emotional response, you feel you should kind of like reward that person with
Well, I do that
like.
now. I've recently like really made the effort to be like, this picture's really good. Like, of course I'm going to like hit the like or even comment because
Mhm.
this is a great picture. This is a great idea, or this is just a beautiful video, you know, something. I just feel like this person put so much work into it. Yeah. It's not all about the comments and likes, but it kind of is
Right.
as an influencer. Right. So it's just kind of crazy how much I think you're right. TikTok has changed the way we view content, even on Instagram. Okay, so this is my last one for the questions I had. What was the most controversial project? I think I guess there's two ways you can look at it. What was the most controversial between us, or most controversial in terms of your audience on YouTube?
Okay, so I think this one's a little bit easier. So if it's between us, it was the barn doors. My wife hated the barn doors
Yeah.
video.
Yeah.
I built a 10-foot tall barn doors. My wife was disappointed or hates them or something like that. I forgot what I titled it. That one had the most controversy. It's not controversial, but the most like drama based off of the thing is because, you know, there's guys that are commenting, be like,
Yeah.
well, if she doesn't like it, she should build it herself or something like that. You know what I mean? Those dummies.
That's what I thought of when I thought of
Right.
it. I was like, well, it was controversial. I feel like that one was a pretty controversial.
That was the only thing.
People were trying to call me out.
Yeah, just that kind of, and that was just a spin on the storyline.
I mean, it was true. I didn't like them.
Right. And then controversial in terms of what's the second definition?
Well,
of
I think you
controversy?
answered that one. I was going to say this. The second part of that was controversial in terms of your audience, like either liking it or commenting on it. And I think it was the barn doors too, because like you said, I think people were like, wow, your wife's a biatch.
I don't have controversial content. Like there's not like, I mean, it's.
You don't have.
I did have one that would like kind of got me a little bit in trouble. I shouldn't even say got me in trouble because it's like this is just your audience responding. But it wasn't at this house. It was our last house that we're in. I was going down my rabbit hole of like creating content that would be like interesting, right? Like I was still in that world of like not home renovation, but create interesting stuff. And I remember somebody built a guitar, an electric guitar, and the body of the electric guitar, they made it out of colored pencils. They cut them all down to like 3 inches, stacked like 1 million of them upright, poured epoxy over them, cut out all the sections, fit the guitar. So it's really cool and intricate. Millions and millions of views overnight. And I was like, I wonder if I could take a spin on this and take a gun and then take like a revolver, like with a hand grip, and then replace the hand grip on the revolver as out of a colored pencil thing. And that's what I did. So I built this mold and I figured out the plates and the fittings, and so it came out. So here's this stainless steel pistol. It was like a 357
I
Magnum.
forgot about that.
And it was this all different colors of the colored pencils is the body of it. And I released that video, and the video didn't perform well. And unbeknownst to me, I released it when there was like a school shooting.
Ooh, no.
2 days before or something, or 3 days before, or earlier that week.
Ugh.
I don't remember which shooting it was, but it was like people going, oh yeah, back to school, and you're putting out content like this.
Oh, because it's like colored pencils.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like even worse because you're
yeah.
thinking of like kids.
It was
and
the
guns.
only time I had to take down a video.
You did?
I did take that video down because it was just nothing but negative backlash, and I didn't even think about like.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Did you know that about?
I forgot about that. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's probably one you just have to. It was just you came across as like insensitive.
It was the worst coincidence of the time me putting out a video and the topic and a tragedy that happened. Like it was the worst timing.
Oh, and you thought you had like this really good idea.
Yeah, and I was
just
like, oh,
something cool.
I had no idea. Like I wasn't. This is back in the day when I was trying to put out a video every Friday.
Yeah.
By the way, did you know that about me too, Kyle? There was a time I was trying to do one video every week.
I remember that.
Like a vlogger.
While
almost.
working part-time at the hospital.
Full-time at that point. That was before I was cutting down my hours.
Really?
I was, yeah.
Okay, so full-time at the hospital, which 12-hour shifts.
Yeah, young kids.
We had 2 kids.
Young kids. They were little.
They were little.
They're like 4 and something.
They were like 2 and 4.
2 and 4, yeah.
And so you were doing a video every Friday.
Every Friday. So I was not watching news. I was not watching movies. I wasn't hanging out with friends. Like I was missing baseball, like T-ball.
Yeah.
Jack was in T-ball back then, you know. I was missing all these things because I was
birthdays.
like, I got into this Gary Vaynerchuk mindset of like, you're one video away, so you know, from making it big. And I was just in that like rat race of one video, the next, and so I keep putting them out. And Yeah, I wasn't watching, so I wasn't aware of like there was even like a tragedy that happened, and I put out that video, and that was devastating.
You were just trying to grind.
Yeah, yeah. What about you? Do you have a controversial video?
No, I was thinking about the barn doors. I like in terms of me on my
Yeah,
page.
yeah.
Yeah, I have a few. The one I posted of Harper coloring all over the couch.
Oh yeah, did you get backlash from
Oh
it?
yeah.
Why?
Like, first of all, there was people like, "Who is nobody watching this child? How did she do this? This child should not be allowed to be coloring on the couch. Where's the mom? Where's the dad?" So many comments like that.
Did
and
that
then,
affect you?
No.
You knew?
No, at this point, I'm just like, of course, people just comment it's the trolls that are coming after you. And on top of that, it's just like, I made it as like a funny video. And so
it was hilarious. A lot of the friends I run
Yeah.
into, like they always mention that. Like,
Yeah,
I loved
Harper.
Irina's like art display.
It was just, and I kind of made it as this, I kind of had this thing going of like, Harper keeps coloring on everything. And the funny thing is most people who are parents know like it could happen so quickly and she
Yeah.
could find a marker anywhere. I have 2 other kids, you know.
It's the
Anyway,
non-parents.
but
that
it
are
didn't
right.
bother me at all. I just thought it was funny, but I got a ton of comments
Really?
just because that video did pretty well. I think it's at like 700,000 or something.
Well, you got
views.
an emotional reaction from somebody,
Yeah.
and that's
And then
why.
people, so in that video, because I put together clips of her at different times. And that's another thing. I think people thought it was all at once, but I put together different clips
they're
of her.
not-
Anyway, one of them at the end was like from her a year ago, and she had like a binky in her mouth. And so many people wrote, first of all, she shouldn't even be having a binky at this age. And I'm like, that's what you're commenting? Wow. It's just like people looking for stuff.
Yeah.
So it just made me laugh. I like had no.
This has nothing to do with like on that line of trolls, but I was golfing with Mark today, and he told me today he went down this YouTube rabbit hole of YouTube videos, and there's this one YouTube video there's this old guy that created this YouTube video and says the video is titled 5 golf etiquettes that everyone should know. And Mark said it was a 6-minute video, but the first 5 minutes is this old guy bitching about all the golfers and what they're doing, and the last 30 seconds was like the etiquette railing. And so it's
This
an
is
example,
what you do,
There's
yeah.
an example of somebody who like just found out that they could create a YouTube account, and then
And they need to like vent about everything.
They need to be heard.
My voice heard.
Yeah.
And then I did post one more video on our Next Door Neighbors page, which has like, I think like 5 or 6 million views. That one went crazy, but it's just like
Is that the wheel?
no, it's just of the one where I'm laying on the bed and
Oh.
the text reads, when your husband says he can watch the kids while you sleep in or something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
a
it's
chaos
like
in the back.
and then it's I used like an audio that was already available, and it was like a bunch of like kids screaming or people screaming and like dishes breaking in the
Yeah,
background.
yeah.
And I just thought it'd be funny because I
Yeah.
saw somebody else do it. I had so many people be like, wow, that's what they write. Oh, they'd be like, domestic abuse, anyone? And like all this like abuse kind of like comments where I'm like, this is just a funny video. I cannot believe that people who take things so seriously or literally, like,
Yeah.
is this your first time on a social media platform?
Well, those people, I think they don't have a circle of acquaintance. I'm going to assume if you have the time to sit down and write this lengthy emotional response to somebody's free content that they put out that you don't know, they don't know you, and you feel like you need to be heard in that, and it's negative to that degree, then I think I'm willing to bet that you don't have a strong social circle around you of you picking up on hints and
yes,
cues.
like gauging, like, oh, this is just funny.
Yeah, this is
versus
satire.
being like, wow, are there actually people screaming in the background? That's child abuse and domestic abuse. I'm like, this is obviously that's not real.
Yeah, I think people.
But yeah, it gets me every time where I'm like, wow, people really do take things super seriously or literally. And
Yeah, and they just need to learn how
Yeah.
to take a joke and understand
But that's
where
just-
satire fits in.
yeah, exactly.
It's like, It's so strange. Like you're commenting from one stranger to another stranger, and
Yeah.
you have the time of day.
Yeah. To like write out like this big paragraph of
It's so
how
much
you're
easier to
feeling.
be like, don't like how they function, unfollow. Like that's so
Yeah.
much easier.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Or when people have to say I'm unfollow, like they have to comment
Oh,
unfollow.
yeah.
Like, okay, why don't you just unfollow without having to comment that? Like they need to say it.
Yeah.
It's probably the same people.
It's sad. I don't think it's a sad world. I think that a lot of people say it's like a sad world. I don't think it's a sad world. I think it's a great world because life is what you make of it.
And there's so many more opportunities today than there, I feel like, were because of social media.
Hey,
You wouldn't have a
I
job if it weren't for.
count my blessings that I wasn't born even 100 years ago.
Yeah.
I wasn't even born 50 years ago. I count my blessings that I'm born today and not during 1700s. Because if
Oh,
I got a
100%.
cut, penicillin's not invented yet, buddy.
You're basically dead. Yeah.
You're dead. They're
Yeah.
cutting that off. So I am so thankful
We are
and grateful.
this time. It's a great time to be alive.
It's a fantastic time to be alive. Life is what you make. That's it. Life
Yeah.
is what you make of it. If you create traditions in your family and you're around people who love you and care for you and they love being around you and you love being around them, then you're living a life of heaven. That's what you're living. And if you have the time to sit down and write something to somebody that you've never met, something to judge them based off of whatever actions you interpreted, then things are not going well for you.
Yeah. That's something. I feel like a lot of things trigger people. And so that's something they're already dealing with that now is triggering them on this platform, you know?
Yeah, it's whatever.
It's whatever.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care about it. All right.
Anyway.
Folks, thanks for listening. This has been a fun one. Catch you guys on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.